your first year in the league, you really started cutting a swath through guys. You ran into guys like, Sean Cronin, Michel Petit, you dropped him, Adam Creighton, Tony Twist. Obviously, this is where that's a high caliber enforcer. What was it like fighting Tony Twist? Because that was one of my favorite fights that you had, where you guys were just swinging for the fences, and you ended up getting the jersey over his head and buckling him at the end. What was it like going against Tony Twist, who's another NHL legend?
Yeah, well, the Twister, there weren't many guys that punched as hard as Twister. Like, he honestly tried to separate your head from your body every time. If you watch him swing, and I think he told me, he was around maybe, 5'11", 6 foot, certainly not as tall as a lot of guys, but I think he said he was about 150 pounds the one year he played, and he was in great shape. It was just ginormous, right? And but that's how dumb when you watch. That's how dumb we were with that age. Fuck Cowboys, a grab on, start swinging, and if he's going to throw rights, I'm going to go left, and vice versa. So you're wide open. We just kind of, I got a little smarter the way I fought later in my years as I played more games and more seasons and everything else. But no, he was and you ask anybody, any of the guys that fought him, and he tried to take your head right from your shoulders. Like, he swung so hard. It was like just right out of the fences, and you had to be ready. When you're going to take one of those, just hope for the best.
And I think, like, your ability, one of your biggest attributes as a fighter is your ability to fluidly switch hands and from left to right. And I think that's kind of what put you over him in that one fight, especially. Just that ability to switch up, and it keeps the guys off balance a bit. You know what I mean? And that's I think that was a huge thing, especially back then, where a lot of guys were just sort of starting to figure that out. You kind of were I don't want to say an early adapter of that, but a lot of guys were one-arm bandits too. When they're coming in the league.
Yeah,
and
I found it, and even in junior, that fights seemed to come in bunches. Like, you would go a couple weeks without one, and then you'd fight 3 or 4 games in a row, and if you hit it, like in junior, we used to take our helmets off because we had visors. So you stood back, the visors stayed out of the way, you took your helmets off. But the heads is so hard, your head's so hard, your skull.
Yeah.
So if you the fight, you start to get sore. And that's actually where I learned to first start throwing with my other hand. Was my right hand would work. Sometimes you couldn't hardly close your hand.
Interesting.
It was so swollen, the knuckles would swell up. So you learn to throw. Once I got a little bit of confidence, but the 2 things I learned is it just threw guys off to see a left hand. It's just the most odd. Most guys are right-handed. If you switch off and suddenly you don't even have to hit the guy hard. You just kind of get it in and get it out there.
Yeah.
It threw off a lot. In junior hockey especially, it just rattled guys. They didn't like it, and it threw them off. And then I learned to throw harder and throw quicker and with more power and all those other things. But to your point, it certainly helped me along the way. There were certain guys that almost every guy could do it. They could throw both hands. But there were a few guys that didn't have the confidence, and if I knew that, I would always tie up their strong hand and make them try to throw with the other ones, and there were a lot of guys that didn't like that. So they would avoid them. Avoid the fight.
Well, that might have made it the fight with Brown such a spectacular fight, is because he was predominantly a left-handed fighter, and you were able to throw with your left hand very well, and that made it like a real good slugfest, just a toe-to-toe,
Well, and that shows you how smart he was, because I never tied up his right hand.
That's it, right?